Do you know that one of Microsoft's July updates caused a BitLocker recovery code where when the computer rebooted, the user had to enter a BitLocker key to go into Windows? Do you even know what BitLocker is or whether you have a key? And if you do you know what your key is? In this video, we'll actually discuss what BitLocker is, how it can protect you, but also how it's vital for you to know what the BitLocker key is or to be able to retrieve that BitLocker key. One of the things that we do recommend on a regular basis is installing the Windows updates. And, these Windows updates do correct security issues, and we always notify you when there are Windows updates that are out there that do address various security issues. And but sometimes those updates do cause some other problems as well. Now, we have not yet seen this on our computers or on any of our customers' computers, but we did hear from one of our customers that did have this problem, and he is going to be bringing into his computer into us to have us look at it. But this is the Microsoft one of the Microsoft updates from last month did actually cause a blue screen BitLocker recovery. So what we're going to do here today, we're going to talk about this problem, what you need to do to resolve it if this has happened to you. And we're also going to be talking about the importance of understanding what BitLocker is, making sure that you know what your BitLocker key is. And so that if you ever need it, you can get access to your data. In the case of our one customer, and by the way, I have BitLocker enabled on my computer. We have BitLocker enabled on multiple customers' computers. We haven't had any errors with our systems. But again, some people are having this error. Now, what is BitLocker? BitLocker is hard drive encryption. And what it does is it encrypts the data on your drive so that if, let's say, your computer were stolen or the drive was removed from your computer and connected to another computer, that the person would not be able to capture that information without the BitLocker recovery key. And the BitLocker recovery key is a long set of random numbers, and so it's not something that you would just be able to guess. I mean, eventually you might be able to guess it, given enough time and enough tries, but boy, that would really take a long time. Now, there are some ways to crack BitLocker. In the old days, when the TPM chip was off of the processor, there is a way to crack BitLocker. We may go over how to do that. I mean, not that you would want to do it, but we may go over how that is, how that can happen on a future video. But BitLocker does encrypt the key. So, for instance, if you had, first of all, your computer, let's say your computer, you have some sensitive data on there, and a lot of people do. What sensitive data might you have on your computer? Well, you might have a tax return. It might be a PDF, might even be unencrypted PDF. A lot of tax firms do send these out unencrypted, which means it's real easy for you to open it up, but it would also be real easy for a hacker to open up as well. What does that tax form have? It's going to have your name. It's going to have your date of birth. It's going to have your social security number. It's going to have your address. Really, just about everything, short of a driver's license, which a hacker could probably get elsewhere. It has just about every piece of information that's needed for identity theft. Now, what if your driver's license number was also on your computer? These are some types of sensitive data that you would want to protect. And if you have data like this, I would suggest that you have a password on your computer. And I would also suggest that you don't have a sticky note on your computer or on your keyboard or on your monitor or underneath your keyboard or right next to your computer that has the password to your computer so that you're protecting that data. Well, if you don't have BitLocker installed on your computer, what can happen is that drive can actually be removed from the computer, connected to another computer. Sometimes ownership has to happen for the profile data to be accessed, but once ownership is enabled, or once ownership is taken, then the data is accessible. So that tax return, that driver's license number, maybe the picture of your driver's license, that information is there and it's accessible. So, a hacker could even reset your password. If someone had access to your computer, they could actually reset your password and get in without removing the drive. They could get in and get access to that. But also, if they had physical access to the drive, but they didn't have the password or didn't want to go through resetting the password, then they could actually connect that to another computer. Well, you might think, well, how would they get access to my computer? Well, what if they break into your house? What if maybe your computer stops working or you get a new computer, and rather than recycling your computer and securely shredding the data on the drive, you just set the computer out at the curb. And, who knows who's going to come by and pick that up. The person might be honest. The person might not be honest. Even if they are honest and they take that drive to a recycling facility, that recycling facility is going to send that drive off to India or China, where it's going to be processed and where some of the people there are actually employed to take that drive and attempt to gather data off of that drive and get the data and utilize and see what sensitive information is available, which they will then sell. So you have to realize, and by the way, we do provide at a Faster PC, we do provide a secure recycling process. In that process, we ask you, do you have sensitive data on the drive? Do you want us to securely erase that drive? We can do that. It does cost a little bit of money, not a lot. We actually charge quite a bit less than what the big box stores charge. And by the way, I asked one of the big box store companies, I asked them, well, what do you do? How do you actually reformat this drive? Are you securely erasing the data? The person at the store had no idea, no clue, probably because they aren't technicians. They're just doing what they're being told to do. And who knows what that process is. So, but we do have that ability to securely erase that data. You could also, if it's a laptop, maybe, have you ever heard about this? Maybe you're traveling, you're in an Uber, you're in a taxi, you get out and you forget to bring your laptop. Or you're going through TSA, the TSA checkpoint, and you actually go through, they separate you from everything you have, including your laptop. And let's say your laptop is there and you forget and you go on and you get onto a plane. Well, what happens to that laptop? What if someone else picks it up? How do they know whether that laptop belongs to you or to someone else? What if you leave it in a restaurant? What if you leave it at a hotel? What if it's stolen at a hotel? There's a number of ways that computers can be compromised and can be gained, that your computer, if it's mobile, someone could gain access to that. What if you're moving and the movers actually take that computer, or they take the drive? What could happen there? So there are a number of ways that that your data could be accessed. So it's important to actually protect that data with encryption. The encryption is called, again, BitLocker. This is Microsoft's way of doing it. There are other ways of securing the drive or encrypting the drive, but BitLocker is Microsoft's way of doing this. And the thing is, it is important and it does provide protection for your data and for your files. But it's important, it's vital to know that BitLocker key. And there's a few ways that you can know the BitLocker key. One, if your computer has a Microsoft account, then that computer will be listed in your Microsoft account. If you go to account.microsoft.com and you log in, that computer will be listed there. And this, by the way, is a consumer Microsoft account. Microsoft has consumer accounts and they have business accounts. And for whatever reason, when you log in, they do not allow you to use a business Microsoft account as your login. They require you to use a personal Microsoft account for your login. And so that computer would be linked to your personal Microsoft account if you have one. By the way, Microsoft really wants you to use a Microsoft account. When you get a new computer, it's next to impossible to set it up without setting it up with a Microsoft account. And so initially, and sometimes they'll say, well, if you don't have one, we'll create one. Some people have one but don't know the password, so they end up actually creating a new one. And then they don't know the password for that one either, and that account stores the BitLocker key, which is necessary to unlock that data, so that if, let's say, it's you that needs your data, maybe you get a new motherboard, maybe that drive needs to be moved to another computer or connected to another computer. Maybe the computer dies. You want to access that data. Well, you're not going to be able to access it without the BitLocker key. So it's important to know this. Now, if you actually enabled BitLocker, then Microsoft, when you do that, they give you the opportunity. In fact, they require you to record it in some way. You can print it. You can actually save it to a file. You have to save it to a file that's on a different drive than the drive that has the BitLocker key, but you can save it to a file, or again, you can print it. What we are seeing is that sometimes computers are coming from the factory with BitLocker enabled, and the customer has no idea that BitLocker is enabled and has no idea what the BitLocker key is and doesn't know what their Microsoft account username is, much less their password. And sometimes we've even had some customers that get aggravated at the idea that Microsoft would have their information, so they give a phony email address when they set up their Microsoft account, and they forget the password, or they don't even bother remembering or writing it down. So then what happens is, if you actually need to get into that Microsoft account in the future, you have no way of resetting it because you gave them a phony email address and you don't know what the password is, and you didn't give them your phone number so that you could receive a code to reset the password. And so you really have no way of recovering that account and that password. And again, some people will just create a new account. They don't keep track of what the username is, don't keep track of what the password is, and they don't realize the significance of all of this. Now, we do have, for our clients that we have installed our remote support software on their computers, one of the things it does is it captures the BitLocker key. And we have actually been able to use this to save the data of several of our customers. By the way, this happens, we don't go in and look at your BitLocker key. We only would use it if we needed to, and we would only need it if your data was lost and you needed that BitLocker key. We would be able to do that. By the way, if you haven't used our services in the last maybe year or two and you're wanting this, you can give us a call, 772-878-5978. We can install the software on your computer, capture that BitLocker key to protect your data. This BitLocker error with the Windows update, what actually happens with this is that when the computer reboots, instead of just booting right into Windows, and by the way, again, this doesn't happen on every computer. It hasn't happened on my computer. It hasn't happened on any of our clients that we have configured BitLocker for. Of course, even if it did, we would have that key and we would be able to get into that system because we have our remote support software installed on those computers. But what actually happens is as the computers are booting to a BitLocker recovery screen, where you actually have to type in the BitLocker key to be able to continue on. Without the BitLocker key, there's no way to actually access the computer. There's no way to get your data. There's no way to move on. You just stop at this BitLocker recovery screen, and so again, this is why it's important to know what the BitLocker key is and to be able to have that. Now, if you are out there, you want us to install our remote support software so that we can help you by recording this BitLocker key in case you ever need to get into in case you ever need to recover your data. And again, you may not have BitLocker enabled, but what we have found is that many of the people that have come in that have had it had no idea that they had it, had no idea what their BitLocker key was. And so it's really important to be able to capture that and to know what that BitLocker key is. I hope you've liked this video, that you've learned something from it. If you have, please click the like button, click subscribe, and click the bell to be notified when we release new videos. And remember, when you have cybersecurity questions, you need a faster PC.